Our story starts with very heavy breathing right in the heart of the action. A controversial team of mercenaries operating without regard for human life have failed to maintain their secrecy, prompting the army to move against them, leading to dire consequences. Moments later, the team wipes out the army's entire squad except for one lone soldier, who quickly calls his commanders to inform them of the situation. Before he could get a proper response from command, he sees a huge explosion right in front of him, a harbinger of doom and of the arrival of the squadron to his location, which leads to his immediate gory execution. Some civilian doctors and soldiers managed to survive and were trying to escape on a military helicopter that had just arrived. But Tao, the technical member of the deadly squad, sends the plane's coordinates to Takeo, who effortlessly ends all their lives. After all the commotion, Kranz, the leader of this deadly group, finally emerges. We are also introduced to Shark and Hammer, the lowest-ranking fighters on the team, who gain satisfaction from their grisly deeds, whether it's part of the plan or not. Plus Tao, the tech-savvy technician, and Takeo, the veteran warrior, and now you've met our mercenaries. Their leader Kranz has news. The team has a new mission, and it's in Japan. A new day has started in school as back in session, Chan, a silly ginger boy with an injured arm, sets out for school accompanied by his friend Manabu. Along the way, we learn that Chan injured his arm while saving his friend from a car accident. He asks Manabu to write his schoolwork for him as a way of returning the favor. Upon arriving at the school, the boys notice a commotion. All the girls are gathered around a security guard, drooling. Apparently they found his weird scarred-up face attractive. You know they say girls love a man in uniform. Well, it has to be the uniform, cause it's not the face. In the school building, two suspicious-looking men watch from a distance and discuss the success of their memory wipe. We get a small backstory on the security guard. Apparently he used to work for the Union as a lab rat, but he disobeyed their orders and had to escape. The school's owner found him, and after consulting Franken, his right-hand man, he decides to hire the guard and give him a place to stay as he has superpowers and isn't fully human. Back to Chan, his crew are teasing him about his injured hand and drawing pics and naughty words on his cast. Then a mysterious boy named Rai pops up and draws a cute kitty cat on Chan's cast, attempting to be funny. Fail. Well, Rai is not an ordinary student living with the headmaster, but he is somehow the headmaster Franken's master. He comes to class in disguise and tries to learn more about the human world. You see, he has spent many years in hibernation, and he hardly knows anything about current events or how our world works. I think his red eyes are a dead giveaway that bro is not one of us. At the end of the school day, Headmaster Franken is standing with the security discussing his first day on the job. Rai walks over and gives a long speech, which basically comes down to him needing a cell phone. Everyone wants an iPhone. The next day, Ray had one of the newest cell phones in the country, which of course drew all the teens' attention. They quickly get him caught up to modern technology and he apps like a pro. Later, our silly ginger clumsy Chan makes the mistake of flirting with some random chick. Her dude bro boyfriend pulls up in a muscle car looking for a fight. He sends some of his men to start searching for Chan. As soon as they arrive, some of the workers try to defend the boy, but the girl's boyfriend is a real macho man who knocks down all who stand up to him. Chan himself comes out and bravely confronts Mr. Macho, but he and his loser crew beat the brakes off that boy. Broken arm and all, they'd bust his cast and bust his ribs too. An old janitor tries to intervene but gets lifted by his collar. At the sight of this, the new guard can't hold back any longer and steps up to defend the boys and his colleague, and he does so with ease, bringing the baddie to his knees and whispers ever so softly that Macho Man is lucky there are witnesses, as that's the only reason he's still alive. Damn. That night, as he reflects upon his past, the guard remembers what his life used to be like when he was a member of the Union. He and all his peers were test tube babies, cruelly treated and used as lab rats every day of their existence. They were also used to carry out missions, and none were even given the dignity of a name. They were all just experiments for the Union. Luckily, the security guard also remembers his only friend within that organization who was also a lab rat called M24, and they had promised each other that they would not rest until they knew their names and those of their fallen comrades. The guard has kept that promise to this day, which still gives him hope. Elsewhere in Japan, Kranz and his mercenaries have finally arrived, and they all have the same question: what are we supposed to do in this strange country? Their mission this time is different, no fighting or weapons, but a first-class investigative mission, as the Union had originally sent two of its operators, Jake and Mary, to retrieve somebody's coffin, till all communications were cut off and contact has not resumed. Kranz and his crew's mission is clear: figure out what happened and find the 2 missing operators. 2 other high-level investigators have also been sent to Japan to get to the bottom of the disappearances. They are looking into the issue of humans trying to acquire superpowers, and from the first glimpse, we see that one of their powers is mind control. They examine a crime scene and make it clear that they come to take care of the matter in their own way. Schools are one of the best places to mingle with the locals, so the 2 operators go undercover as school kids and immediately head to the school. At the gates, the guard, who we'll call M21, spots them arriving late. M21 immediately notices their bright red eyes and odd behavior. It's hard to miss as those 2 look like demonic albinos. He realizes that they are not normal humans and feels that they have superhuman strength, but the guard doesn't let on that he knows their secret and ushers the duo into Franken's office. As soon as Franken sees them, he realizes that they are not normal humans and that they have superpowers like Rai, his master disguised as a student. He dismisses M21 and introduces himself as the person in charge. He feels their power and informs his master of their arrival. Then Franken sends the 2 students to his master's classroom. The 2 introduce themselves as Regis and Sarah, and after being eyeballed and admired by most of the class, the duo turn their attention to Rai, who has an aura that suggests he too has superhuman strength. We learn that they can communicate telepathically. The teacher instructs our ginger friend Chan to show them around, much to the jealousy of his classmates. After class, Chan shows them where the cafeteria is and how to buy food. We also see Ray's obsession with ramen. After the end of the school day, Franken and M21 head home together. On the way, they discuss the Milky Exchange students. M21 mentions that he felt their strange superpowers. He starts explaining to Franken who these vampire-looking students are. The kind of power they have is called noble, and so are they. Franken too has heard of them and gives a more detailed explanation. Apparently, the origins of their power comes from ancient times, before the discovery of current technology and military power, where humans lived in constant fear of natural phenomena, fear of things stronger than them, fear of predators that may eat them, fear of every damn thing. Basically, we used to be the scaredy cat coward species. Then out of nowhere, new beings appeared that resembled humans in every way except that they had superhuman strength, a strength greater than predators and greater than natural disasters. Humans called them nobles. I call them skinwalkers. Nobles are far more powerful than humans, but despite this, they were never hostile to humans. They protected them from any danger and never harmed them. Simply put, they saw us as babies and they were our mamas. After that breakdown, M21 still had a few questions, like if the nobles are really that good, they must be here for a good reason too. He also wants to know if the master and Franken are nobles or not, but Franken just evades the question. After school, Chan and some other students come over to Ray's place to play some games and hang out, but are shocked to find that the security guard is also staying at the principal's house. The overpowered albinos are there too, and since they haven't yet settled on a place to stay, Chan has the audacity to suggest they stay at the principal's mansion, which, no surprise, M21 doesn't approve of, as he is staying there, trying to keep a low profile. Franken finds himself in a difficult situation. On the one hand, he can refuse to let Sarah and Regis stay, but that will arouse their suspicions, and on the other hand, their stay can cause trouble for him personally. Rai, the actual master of the home, agrees to let them stay, much to the guard's chagrin. That evening, Sarah sneaks up on Franken and M21 under the pretext of offering to help them with housework. She sees the Union tattoo on the guard's wrist and, without thinking, relays this information to Regis. Based on these revelations, Regis later tracks M21 to a place relatively far from the others, and that's where their confrontation begins. Regis is desperate to find out what happened a month ago when the coffin disappeared, but M21 assures him that some nutcase stole the coffin and was excommunicated, therefore he has nothing to hide. Unfortunately, that information is not enough for Regis, who goes rabid and begins to attack M21. Unusually, the guard fends him off and even manages to fight back, but Regis soon overpowers him and knocks him down. Before he can finish him off, Sarah telepathically communicates with him that some bullies have intercepted and kidnapped the teens, hoping to avenge their friends who were hurt by M21 on his first day. When Regis and M21 arrive at the scene of the fight, they see something they never could have imagined. Chan, without any assistance, starts kicking butts and taking names. He kung-fus the hell out of those grown men. until the leader pulls a shooter and aims for Chan's head. M21 steps in and stops the fight. Chan chases the gangsters away and threatens them that if any of them approach his friends ever again, there will be hell to pay. The fight leaves Regis in a state of shock as he thought that humans were weak little beings who could not fight and must rely on the nobles to save them. He politely calls humans savages. But M21 bluntly tells him that humans can fight if they find the right reasons. We aren't titty babies crying for them to mommy us. Of course, he also took the opportunity to mock the nobles who think they are the only ones with courage. He threatens to eliminate Regis if he ever calls him a modified human again. The scene ends with them threatening each other in hilarious ways. A new day starts with Regis and M21 squabbling like spoiled little rich girls over room size and food portions and offing each other. Kranz's team finally arrived at the place where the looted coffin was located. The official police story is some psycho went on a rampage, but based on the extensive destruction left by the conflict, Tao concludes that the conflict must have been between two non-human groups. After further research, Tao came to his own conclusion. He discovered that Jake and Mary did reach the coffin's location, but they encountered test subjects M21 and M24. M24 infected a passerby with some disease that made him insane. This got the police off their trail as they had found the perfect scapegoat for the crime without having to dig too deep. That way, the police could easily return to the very difficult task of eating donuts. After gathering this information, Kranz told his group that they had to find M21 and M24, and anyone who sees them has to arrest them without hesitation, assuming they were still alive. At school the next day, M21 is still feeling a little strange about being in a world he doesn't know much about and tries to start a conversation with Rai asking how he feels, but Rai doesn't answer and just walks away. Chan is still recuperating from the wounds he sustained in the fight, and his friend accuses him of picking fights just to get Sarah's attention. Chan quickly dismisses the idea, explaining that he doesn't need attention from a random foreign colorless girl. Chan also discovers that his friend Manabu is heart-eyes cuckoo crazy for weirdo Regis's ashy bum. Strange. During recess, Regis and Sarah go to the top of the building to meet with M21. Isn't a friendly meeting, but a threatening one with threats coming from Regis, who tells M21 that he doesn't like and doesn't trust mutants. M21 keeps his composure and tells Regis that he is just a security guard who has to do the rounds to protect the school and its students. He also tells Regis that he has seen him and Sarah out and about after dark more than once, which is clearly forbidden by school rules as they are minors. If it were to happen again, he would have to report them. M21 wasn't the only one worried about these two alabaster weirdos. Rai also shared the same concern and asked Franken to do a detailed background search on them, but all the results were reassuring that they were not a danger to the public. Back at Manabu's house, Chan is visiting and starving with hunger, but Manabu has no time to play Chef Ramsay as he was busy doing security checks for his uncle and researching who had hacked into his servers. Manabu didn't know that it was technical maestro Tao, Kranz's mercenary technician, so Manabu keeps throwing firewalls at him, thinking that his counterpart was just an amateur trying to hack into any server and didn't enter that particular server for a specific purpose. After several hack attempts by both of them, the two admire each other's abilities. Unfortunately, Chan's recklessness causes him to trip near the laptop, pulling the charger, and that cuts their connection. Manabu walks out the room to report to his uncle, and Chan accidentally sees Teo's messages to Manabu. Being a nosy bugger, instead of distancing himself from the conversation, he decides to reply. Thinking it was a girl who liked Manabu, he asks for her age and name, but is shocked to find out that it's a man on the other side of the screen. A stunned Chan is freaked and doesn't know what to do, but he quickly recovers and remembers that Manabu is the homie, so guy or girl lover they are and will remain best buds. Manabu soon realizes that Chan is clan slamming him and kicks him off his computer. Tao, on the other hand, has given up on Manabu responding, so he decides to continue his search, and as luck would have it, he already has photos of M21 and knows his location thanks to the school's cameras. Kranz sends Shark and Hammer to arrest him immediately. Everyone thinks that M21 is still in this place because he needs to complete some kind of mission. No one realizes that the only thing keeping him there is the promise he made to his friend M24. At mealtime, M21 and Regis are threatening each other with elimination as per usual. Franken interrupts their spat and puts them all to work. Clean up the house now, you dirty boys. Later, Franken opens a bank account for M21 and asks him to do the dishes when home. Deep in thought, M21 contemplates his life. Once he was a lab rat, a failure, treated with zero respect. Now he lives just like any other person. Life is a funny, sad conundrum. As he walks home, he is met by Shark and Hammer, who, as we know, are part of the Union's special forces, and were waiting for him. M21 immediately recognizes them. Shark gets straight to the point: surrender now and come with us, or risk being eliminated like the trash he is. Damn, that's brutal. At first, M21 decides to surrender as he knows that he is inferior to them. But his attitude soon changes after Shark insults M24, so M21 decides to engage him in an unequal fight. Shark slices and dices, inflicting severe injuries that almost excommunicate our security guard. Just in time, Regis and Sarah, our alabaster vamps, arrive on the scene. Regis uses his super sharp wit to emotionally cut them to pieces. Lil Bro is freaking hilarious and quick with the insults, body shaming the mercenaries without a second thought. Before things really get out of hand, Kranz jumps into the scene and scolds Shark, telling him the orders were to capture the guard, not kill him, because their mission is only to gather intelligence. After much thought, M21 decides to surrender to Kranz's forces and use them to gather his own intelligence and maybe learn his real name and the names of his colleagues, as he had promised M24. Although Regis doesn't agree with letting M21 go, Sarah convinces him that it's best for everyone to leave these things behind and focus on their goal and the mission they came for in the first place. Tao resumes his hacking attempts, but this time it's not his only goal. He's trying to continue his hacking battle against his mysterious rival Manabu. They meet again on the Union servers, and Tao is surprised to learn the true age of his rival, realizing that he is just a boy and that he lives close by. This excites Tao, who tells Manabu they may meet up soon. As Franken sits quietly with Rai, happily enjoying his tea and the peace and quiet far away the noise of the school and the students. The silence is interrupted by Regis and Sarah storming in. Regis is visibly agitated and doesn't want to explain the situation to Franken. He keeps repeating that he's been deceived by a lowly guard and that he has to be more careful with humans so that he won't be put in a situation like that again. After Regis storms off, Franken asks Sarah what the heck is going on. She explains the situation to him with a smile. She mentions that some men attacked M21 and beat him up. When Regis tried to help him, the guard refused and left with the Union's men. This is why Regis feels that it's the Union that sent M21 in the first place and that this was all an elaborate plan. Regis isn't the only one upset by this. Franken also begins to suspect that the Union may have planted M21 at their school to uncover the truth about Franken and Rai. While they were doubting him, M21 was in the custody of Kranz's men, being tortured and forced to confess everything he knew about the coffin and its whereabouts. But M21 remains steadfast and will not snitch, even under the constant torture he receives from Shark. The guard refuses to speak. Finally, after seeing the desperation in Kranz and his men, he realizes that he is their only lead and that none of them would risk taking him out, and this is his chance. Then Kranz joins Shark in threatening M21. He threatens to inject him with a truth serum that will either make him confess or may even take his life. M21 decides to cooperate with them, but only in exchange for the names of his fellow lab rats in order to fulfill his promise to his friend M24. At first, Kranz's men refuse to let the guard dictate the terms, as he is helplessly shackled in front of them. But Kranz agrees to the terms and asks Tao to start hacking into the Union servers to get the information that M21 needs. But that isn't our guard's only request. He also asks for food, and not the fast food garbage that Hammer eats all day long. He wants ramen. At school, the students notice M21's disappearance, but no one knows what's happened to him. They ask Regis and Sarah, but they deny having any knowledge of the situation. Regis is still grumpy AF. The teens arrange a get-together for the next day. Early the next day, Chan asks Sarah to go shopping with him, and she agrees. While they are shopping, Manabu meets up with Tao, and they get into a deep emo conversation, filled with understanding and mutual respect and admiration. Chan sees some thugs robbing a man who seems unable to stand up to them. He asks Sarah to wait for him while he tries to intervene. After eliminating the thieves, we find out that the man they were trying to rob is Takio, one of Kranz's men, but of course, Chan doesn't know any of this. Takio thanks him and says that they remind him of his younger sister who might be exactly the same age as them, and after they chat for a while, Chan and Sarah leave him and go back to Ray's mansion where Sarah lives. Back to M21, he is still being tortured, especially by Shark, who keeps threatening to break his neck and repeats that he isn't as weak as Takeo, who pities his victims. But Takeo loses his composure when Shark mentions his sister, who is being held by the Union to force Takeo to work for them. He threatens Shark with a gun, but Teo intervenes. Shark is a true psycho sadist. Shark decides to widen his search to force M21 to talk, so he searches for the teens from the night they found M21. He quickly finds Regis and decides to use him to manipulate M21 before eliminating them all. He confronts Regis, but Shark is surprised to find that Regis is a noble. Regis is quick with the verbal attacks and even quicker with his physical prowess. And indeed, the fight is all in Regis' favor even after Shark swallows some pills to make him bigger, faster, stronger, and uglier. I didn't even think that the last part could be possible. In the end, Regis is forced to surrender after Hammer easily captures Chan and Manabu. He threatens to eliminate them if Regis doesn't do what they say. Shark takes his captives to the Union's headquarters and asks all the members to come immediately to see what he has done. The crew is stunned when they see who Shark has brought in. No one can believe that a man as powerful as Regis can be overcome so easily. Even when Regis tries to free himself from his shackles, he can't, and Shark keeps mocking him for his weakness. Those shackles are specially made for people like Regis. Damn, I hate Shark. I hope he gets a painful end. When Regis sees M21 standing there watching him, he mistakenly thinks that the security guard really was working with the Union and that this was all planned from the start. Sarah, back at the house, knows that Regis is in danger because she lost her telepathic link, and that only happens if Regis should lose consciousness or worst case scenario his life. After sharing her fears with Franken and Rai confirms her story as Chan and Manabu have not shown up either, which confirms the fact that they are in danger, but Rai decides to wait and not intervene until things get FUBAR, as the army puts it. In the meantime, Manabu and Chan wake up, and as soon as they see the mercenaries, they try to understand just what is happening and how on earth did they end up there. There is much confusion as Shark is under the impression that Regis and M21 are friends. Meanwhile, Chan recognizes Takeo, and of course, Manabu calls out to Tao. Unfortunately, Tao cannot acknowledge their friendship in front of the rest of the team. It's all very confusing and heartbreaking. Sadist Shark is enjoying every moment of their suffering. Sarah doesn't wait for any assistance and starts her own search for Regis. After scanning most of the city, she finally manages to find him, but she can't understand what brings him to this suspicious place, and his signal has become faint, indicating that his strength is weakened. At the same time, Shark is determined to get information about what happened to the coffin from M21, but he still refuses to talk. Shark begins to beat up Chan and Manabu, who are no match for a mercenary as skilled as Shark. While things are tense and everyone is on edge, Hammer decides to go get more food so he can really enjoy this sadistic beatdown of teenagers. Shark starts torturing Chan since M21 won't talk, but the guard coldly tells him that what he's doing won't make him talk, as Chan and Manabu are just two kids he met while working at the school and they don't know anything about him. Regis refuses to let Shark unalive Chan and Manabu and stands up for them against Shark. But of course his restraints make him powerless and easy prey to Shark's attacks, who takes full advantage of the opportunity and keeps beating the helpless Regis. It's like watching baby seals getting clubbed, painfully depressing. After Hammer finds more food to fill his obese stomach so he can further enjoy watching his friend torture some children, he happens to see Sarah, who casually walks through the door looking for Regis. Hammer tries to stop her with some craftily thrown bombs, but Sarah shows her true strength and knocks him down after she slits his swollen belly and of course his tray of freshly found food. Downstairs, Shark is still fighting Regis, who can't touch Shark due to his restraints, until Chan steps in and delivers a powerful punch to Shark's face that makes Shark determined to liquidate them all. At the last moment, M21 decides to break his promise to his fellow test tube babies and quickly intervenes, delivering a shark-clawing blow to Shark that knocks him off his feet. While Takeo is upstairs trying to figure out where those explosions Hammer made came from, he realizes that his enemy is not Sarah, but Ray himself and Franken, who have also decided to join the party and take part in the fight. At first, Takeo thinks Franken is relatively weak based on his unimposing appearance, but he soon realizes that Franken is basically invincible. The building is divided into 3 fights, all taking place at the same time. The first fight is Franken versus Takeo, which takes place at the top of the building. On the next floor, Sarah's fight with Hammer continues, more provoked by the loss of his gluttonous meal than by what she's done to him. The final and most intense fight is between the rest of Cran's team, particularly Shark and M21, who finally decides to confront Shark with all his might. At first, M21 keeps beating Shark with no response until it's Shark's turn to fight back and M21 is forced to defend his friends, the teens, which leaves him badly wounded and raspberry foaming all over the place. Watching this all go down gives Regis the push to break his shackles. He intervenes and starts beating Shark into unconsciousness, but the biggest surprise is that Kranz himself enters the fight, and he comes prepared, taking pills that add to his strength, pills that make him bigger, stronger, and more lethal. After Kranz swells up, Shark stands next to him, thinking that he will finally fight alongside his master. If only he knew the bitter truth, which is that Kranz will literally absorb him and his boosted strength and life energy in order to power up even more. That was the whole intention of him drugging his men in the first place. Damn cold world. I know I was rooting for Shark to have a painful ending, but this twist blew my mind and left me pitying the sick sadist. Oh damn, the twists make my stomach turn. Anyway, back to the fight. And so Kranz becomes a giant melanated monster that blocks energy blows like a young Mike Tyson in his prime. Kranz is untouchable. Regis can't land a single punch and gets thrown around like a pit bull playing with a meaty bone. Kranz remains unharmed, and a single one of his powerful punches causes Regis's eyes to roll back and he coughs up a raspberry-colored drooling mess. Dan's son. Watching this go down, M21 attempts to get to his feet to fight, but his injuries overwhelm him and he falls to the ground again. At that moment, their last hope walks through the door. Rai, who still retains his full strength and has not revealed it to anyone, enters the basement. Everyone is shocked to see Rai. They are expecting a stronger hero, and up until that point, as already mentioned, Rai hasn't revealed his true strength. The kids even ask him just what on earth he's doing there. Ha, ha, soft burn. But seriously, he is saving y'all lives. Show some gratitude, baby. After Rai makes this dramatic entrance, Kranz thinks he is easy prey just like everyone else, but as soon as he tries to attack Rai, he finds himself utterly powerless. He is paralyzed and Rai tells him that he shouldn't move or even speak a word unless he gives him permission to do so. Tao is also lying paralyzed. At the same time, Sarah is still practicing her favorite new hobby of hitting Hammer, who moves with difficulty thanks to his overweight and obese belly due to the junk food he constantly stuffs himself with. Sarah manages to easily overpower and abuse him. She summons a soul weapon called Death Sight, which, as indicated by its name, inflicts so much torment on those who touch it that no human can endure. They suffer greatly until elimination. On top of the building, Franken is toying with Takio. Takio is basically helpless against Franken invincibility. At first, Franken hesitated about revealing his true capabilities, but as soon as Takio mentioned harming Rai, Franken lost all inhibitions and went buckwild. Franken doesn't enjoy an easy fight and keeps demanding that Takio hit him back, but Takio is convinced that this is his divine punishment, his retribution for all the innocent people he has sent to the underworld. Until he remembers his sister, protecting her was his reason for still being in the Union. That becomes his turning point, and Takio seems to power up and really starts fighting Franken, who is impressed by this dramatic turn of events. While Franken is enjoying his fight, Rai is still tormenting Kranz, who quickly realizes that he is much weaker than Rai, so he needs to gain extra strength. He commands Tao to take the pills so he can absorb his strength, thinking that this would be the easiest way to beat Rai, not realizing that Rai is one of the strongest fighters in the world, if not the strongest, and this is just a light training session for him to complete as warm-up before a real battle. Tao immediately agrees to help his master Kranz despite Nanabu's crying and repeated warnings. Tao's only excuse is that he is a modified human, specifically modified to follow his master's orders and cannot disobey him. Back to the conflict between Franken and Takio. Franken decides to eliminate him, as Franken's power far exceeds that of his opponent. Takio accepts his fate as he has done his best. Just before Franken can finish him off, Sarah arrives and comments that Franken is not just a principal, nor is he human. Franken replies that she must be a high-ranking noble as she carries a soul weapon. Checkmate, cutie. After some deliberation, Franken decides to spare Takio after hearing that Chan had helped him. As for Tao, he realizes that this is a golden opportunity to abandon Kranz and the team that treats him so harshly. He decides to surprise Kranz with a quick attack and then attempts to run. Kranz catches him easily and is about to absorb him, but thanks to Rai's quick intervention that freezes him. Kranz is stupefied, literally. He cannot believe that Rai has paralyzed him again. Rai decides to teach him a lesson that he will surely forget because he won't be around to remember it. He activates a new power called Blood Control Power and ends Kranz easily. It looks like 1,000 women got their periods at the same time. Just a red flow extravaganza. Period power activate. The next day, M21 wakes up to find himself in a comfortable bed with his wounds tended to. On the bed next to him, Takeo is sleeping, also bandaged up. Neither of them knows who cared for them or how they even got there. Franken comes to inform Rai that the men have woken up, but he gets a fright as Rai is coughing up raspberry foam from overuse of his power. What frightens Franken even more is his fear that Rai will punish him for using his powers without permission, but Rai forgives him easily. We love a bromance. At the dinner table, Teo is super impressed by the extravagant meal. Regis and M21 shared their usual hateful banter, which was surprising to the others, but I've come to enjoy their love-hate relationship. After dinner, M21 stands on the balcony doing a Bruno Mars impression by staring at the moon and being all emo and depressed. He hates himself for betraying the promise he made to his friends and putting the teens in danger. He doesn't realize that Rai is standing behind him. To motivate and uplift his depressive bum, Rie shows him his true strength and bro is a freaking werewolf. Didn't see that coming. And 21 is left as shocked as we are. At the same time, Takeo is having a catch-up sesh with Tao. He is sickened to hear that Kranz kept them around as future fuel for his power. That cannibalistic freak show. They discuss hacking the Union server and planting false info to make it appear as if they lost their lives. In that way, they'll be forever free from the Union's control and domination. As M21 returns to his room, he overhears Tao telling Takeo that he has searched the server's records for his sister and was surprised to find out that he has no sister, that the Union has tampered with his memories so that they could use him as a soldier indefinitely. After learning this shocking truth, he wants to run away with Tao. The following morning, Teo informs M21 that he went searching for any trace of information concerning the test subjects and their records. Unfortunately, all relevant documents have been deleted. Sorry, bro. The guys head out to leave, but M21 asks Franken if Takeo and Tao may remain in the home with them. Rai agrees, and Franken reminds M21 that this is his home too as well as theirs, and he does not need permission to stay there or have guests. Everyone finally fully recovers after a few weeks of therapy, which Chan spent reading obscure mangas that are not as enjoyable as the ones we bring to you, our beloved subscribers, on our channel. Since Franken is the principal and Ray the owner of the school, they decide to recruit Tao and Takeo to join M21 as the school's security team, ensuring the school's protection and providing Tao and Takeo with jobs after they escaped the Union, which is now under the false impression that those two were eliminated while searching for the coffin. Chan struggles a bit with all these Giga Chad security guards at the school, and with mysterious Rai at his side, he becomes the ugly friend who gets no loving or attention from any girl. No one will take one for the team and hook up with him. After much thought, he acknowledges his affection for Sarah, but she doesn't show any interest, so he asks Ray to help him get his Riz up as Ray's Riz is at maximum level. Rai promises to school him in the art of seduction. Kinda weird cause Rai is ancient and these are kids, but okay. As Rai is mostly occupied doing his favorite thing, eating delicious ramen, and also can be too mysterious and often terrifying, Chan decides to ask the security guards for help, as the schoolgirls seem to flock to them like seagulls to French fries. When everyone realizes that Chan and the teens need help with their love lives, they all try to escape. And 21 has no interest, so he tries to convince the teens to exclude him from the operation. When they hear that Chan wants Sarah, all three guards are shocked at his boldness, causing them to rush away only to be stopped by Rai himself asking them to help him. Tao offers to take them to a romantic disco where they can spend time alone while Takeo tries to show him how to charm a woman, but of course none of these ideas are helpful at all. Takeo and Tao are assassins who don't know anything else in life beyond that. Bros have Riz, but no skills. Not having much choice, they head to Franken's office, who keeps talking about his many women and all his love affairs in the past, but this fails to give Chan any real information that can help him win Sarah's heart. So Chan has to go to his last resort, which is Regis. Since Regis is Sarah's companion and accompanies her all over, he would surely know her better than anyone else. But Regis' responses are as cold as his colorless face, and he tells him that he doesn't know anything about Sarah and that they only traveled together. As usual, M21 provokes him, saying Regis is freaking useless, and of course, an aggressive argument ensues, interrupted only by the entrance of Rai, who ordered Regis to help Chan with his relationship with Sarah. Regis immediately falls to his knees and agrees. Rai's so powerful, a simple order is like a command from a king. Regis' stupid suggestion was for Chan to write Sarah a letter as if we are in the Stone Age. Of course, everyone present had no idea what to write and the suggestions weren't helpful at all. No wonder there are so many insults these days. I can't stop laughing. Asking a powerful noble about her age, condition, or favorite color is not a serious plan. Besides, it's the 21st century. Who still sends letters? Ever heard of WhatsApp or DMs? The new plan after all previous plans have failed is to parade Chan in front of her on the basketball court. Chan doesn't know anything about basketball, but the plan is for everyone to help him look like a hero in front of Sarah, who is also on the court. But what happens is not what was planned. The animosity between Regis and M21 explodes on the court, and they use the game to get revenge on each other, as Chan just stands by crying while the others show off. Masculinity mask off. When he finally gets the ball and tries to impress Sarah, Takeo intervenes and blocks his shot, using the last second to score, which impresses all the girls and ruins yet another plan to make Sarah fall in love with Chan. As Chan was dragging his tail in disappointment after failing miserably to make Sarah even see he exists, Manabu tries to console him with the excuse that he did everything he could, but it's hard to compete in the presence of literal superheroes. Sarah walks up to them, having found one of Chan's love letters on her desk. She tells him that the best way to attract her is to just be himself, and that it makes no sense to write her a letter, which is crazy and backward behavior that only comes from people who watch Korean dramas. Lol. Anyway, Chan is just happy to see Sarah smile at him. Chan heads with Manabu to Ra's mansion. He is ecstatic, but as soon as he enters, he hears some terribly shocking news. Rai will erase their memories, as humans should not know about the existence of nobles and supernatural people. When Chan objects to this, Rai tells him that this won't be the first time he erases their memories. He erased them last time they saw him fight monsters, and it was successful as none of them remembered. We don't remember that happening either. Did you erase ours too? Chan's only regret is losing his memories of Sarah. The rest of the memories are worthless to him. Sadly, Rai does the Men in Black thing and erases all their memories again. The next day, Chan and Manabu head to school, and neither of them recognize the guards. They also think that Rai is a student just like them, which confirms to Rai that their memories were successfully erased. What a downer. Things at the school return to the way they were before. Funny enough, it's just the calm before the storm. Things won't continue this way. The biggest issue for now is that Sarah doesn't care about Chan's teenager troubles when she's one of the most powerful nobles around. Important to know is Sarah and Regis are from a noble clan. They have a clan leader. Of course, their mission was to get information about the coffin and report back, but they got caught up in unforeseen events. So in the middle of a random school day, Mr. Gejutel shows up at the school, but the guards quickly stop him and question his presence. Before things get out of hand, Regis and Sarah come to the front and drop to their knees before their clan leader. Gejutel is also Regis' granddaddy. Franken comes to greet Gejutel and seems to know the Silver Fox well. Hi Zaddy. This isn't just a passing visit, but Gejutel refuses to speak in front of the stupid guards who, in his opinion, disrespected his authority. Go off, Cartman. We leave the school and what happens in it for a little while and head to some castle somewhere where the leader is a lord who is also a lady. This is the title given to the leader of all the clans of the country. She gathers all the chiefs and assures them that she intends to punish Sarah and Regis for their extreme inaction and unavailability. For the first time, we learn the truth about this mysterious coffin. It belongs to a nobleman who used to live with them, but he betrayed them, abandoned them, and fled. So the lady who is a lord wants to recover the coffin and punish the traitor to make an example of him. Two clan leaders named Karias and Rajak discuss the matter of Regis and Sarah's failure. They both have a different opinion on whether the vampire kids should be punished or not. They are interrupted by the younger brother of Rajak named Ryle, a spicy little pale fella who seems to be crushing hard on Sarah. Well, get in line, little boy. Chan wants a taste of that too. Ryle seems to have zero respect for authority and apparently just got released for being imprisoned. So I think we are in for a spicy adventure with that little pale boy. Not only were things getting crazy in Lucadonia, But also back at school, things were heating up. Gejutel, the clan leader of the Landiger clan, immediately realizes upon seeing Rai that he is the coffin dweller who has betrayed the kingdom. Surprise. Rai keeps it real and asks just what has happened in the kingdom since his departure, but the news isn't good.